I'm Rachel from Rachel's Soft Toy Spa. I'm 23, I'm from Bristol, and I'm a receptionist by day, and by night time I restore old toys. The way that I got into toy restoration was I did fine art in uni, and I knew that I wanted to do something to do with art restoration later on. But when COVID hit halfway through my second year, all those options of going and shadowing somebody who does art restoration wasn't really a possibility anymore. So I honed together a bunch of skills that I already had from doing fashion in GCSE and in college, and I used a few of my skills from fine art as well, and just all those sort of handy crafty skills, and decided to start restoring old toys instead. Throughout COVID, I actually found some spare time to restore my own beloved childhood toys, so I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. So I bought a big bag of old toys from this lady off Facebook, and I went through each one and just cleaned it up, took photos of before and after, got through them and sort of found out all the niggly bits of what works and what doesn't work, and made a portfolio with them and started up my website. And since then I carried it on after uni, and it's kind of blown into a business ever since. So my skills, I got them, a lot of them, through school and through uni, but also through growing up. So my family has always been very crafty, sort of very hands-on, so I learned a lot of my sewing skills from my mum and from my aunties making quilts, and I learned a lot of sort of hand deal work from my dad and from my uncle. They both restore old toys and antiques, and my dad especially sells them on then. So generally throughout my life I've been around a lot of history and hands-on work, and generally just off my own bat and through knowing how to do it and seeing it being done, that's where I learned the skills from. So the reason why I absolutely love restoring old toys is seeing people's reaction. You never know the feeling of restoring something that means so much to somebody. Like, an old toy could have been the only thing for somebody growing up. They could have been in just the most horrendous situations, and this soft toy was the one thing they had to go back on, maybe the only friend or the only thing they felt that they could talk to. And they grow up, and I've had toys come to me which are just 60 years old, 80 years old, and they're just absolute rags. Just their stuffing's falling out, their eyes have come off, their pads have come off, everything. And to be able to make it so that toy is no longer sort of sat in a cupboard or sat on the side somewhere just falling to bits, and being able to make it something that shows life and something that the person can actively love again, really, really helps. And seeing people's reaction to it and seeing how much something can mean to somebody, it really, really has made me know that this is something that I want to carry on with. Being able to fix things for people is so, so sweet, and I absolutely love it. I really like seeing everybody's reactions to when they finally get their toy back, because it's with me for a couple of days and then they get it back and they're just, I've had people crying before. It's been so sweet. But yeah, that's why I love restoring old toys. And as I said, the way I feel, like the way I feel when I'm restoring old toys, it's something you can't really imagine. It's you have to be so nervous. I'm so nervous when I'm doing it, because it's not something that you're able to be like, oh, it's okay, I could just start from scratch. You've got to make sure every single thing you're doing is just so perfect and so on point that you can't get anything wrong. And if anything does go wrong, you'll break the person's heart. So it's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. But just the outcome at the end is so worth it. And realistically, the feeling of nervousness is probably what makes the work coming out at the end so good for people. And I hope that made sense. It's just it's so great seeing all this work come out and seeing people so happy at the end because it's something they love so much come back to life. I don't think you can really get that feeling with many other jobs. And I think it's just perfect, and I love doing it, and the work I do is just pretty fun. So just for an example of what I do, this is a little toy that I need to restore at the moment. He's in quite a wreck. He hasn't got a proper mouth or anything. He's missing both of his eyes. He's a little lammy and he's got a few stains as well. He's really not in the best of shape. And I think I was told this one's, I think from the 1910s, but he could be a little bit older. So definitely one to be careful with. But the sort of ways that I would restore him, what I'll do from the start is I'll give him a clean, especially because you can see his sort of colouring underneath his eyes definitely got different from his skin, and these are just oil stains, so they need to come out. So I'll try several different things. You want to be careful because you've got to be careful basically, because you don't want to end up using the wrong chemical and the wrong toy and actually it ends up coming out worse than when you got it. So this is just a stain remover for fabrics. It's sort of just upholstery stuff. Sort of spray it all over, especially this staining might need extra care and attention. And the thing is, with old ones like this, you've got to be so careful. You got to I kind of got to make sure that he's in okay condition to start with. So if there's any seams that I actually need doing, I'll sew those up first, then do the cleaning. And then once I've done all the cleaning and he's all nice and shiny, being careful to make sure that everything's out, but never rubbing enough that it actually does more harm than good. So the next thing I would then do is fix up the stitching around his mouth and his nose to make him come alive a bit more. Maybe adding a little bit of colouring to the bottom, so I can there just use watered down fabric paints to add a little bit more colour. Stitching over the eyes. The eyebrows look okay, little cute eyebrows. And then his eyes are definitely something that needs sorting out as soon as possible to make him come alive again. So I had a few options for him. I have these sort of ambery coloured ones, which are a little bit, sorry about that, a little bit more sort of traditional sort of colour, which realistically probably was the original colour for him. And then I have these brown coloured ones, which I think don't look quite as nice as the shiny ones. Yeah, I think I'll go for those ones. So these ones, they have a backing at the back. So what I would need to do, sounds a little bit drastic, but I would need to undo the stitching at the back of his head, take some of the stuffing out, put the eye back into the original hole, maybe put an extra few stitches so his second eyes don't fall out. And then I would need to squeeze the backing on, put the stuffing back quickly and stitch everything back up so that he can have two lovely eyes again. So that's what I would do for this little thing. He's very sweet, but definitely in need of a bit of work. But yeah, that's basically everything. And personally, obviously, I care a lot about toys, and that's because I grew up with lots of toys and I've never really let them go. My favourite toy is someone called Bunny. This is Bunny. He, not sure yet, is really special to me. always has been. This is the toy that I fixed up over COVID. And she's still not perfect. She has her ear up, which is from where probably my siblings tore her ear when I was younger, and her ear down. And it's little things like that which I always make sure with the customer, what odd little things are actually features of the toy. So I don't want to change everything, because there are little things, like if I were to give this to somebody else, if I were to entrust this with somebody else, I would want to make sure that they keep the ear up, because it's so special to me. But yeah, this is Bunny, my bunny. But yeah, that's basically everything. It's an absolute privilege working on these toys for people, and seeing people's reaction to seeing them all new again, and just knowing that I helped it with that. And really, it is truly absolutely lovely. But yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye.